Parents stood alongside several members of Congress in Washington, D.C. today. They're demanding parental rights in their children's education. Many of them say they see a weakening of the family unit, and they're calling on parents across the nation to work hard to strengthen the sacred bond between parent and child. NTD's Melina Wisecup spoke with some of the parents and Congress members at the rally.
I'm here right outside of the Congress building where parents from different states and cities across the nation have gathered to send a message to the government and public school systems across the nation. That message is to stop pushing for ideological transformation in the classrooms. Some parents even telling us that schools are going so far as to help students change their gender identity, but without the parents knowing about it.
This policy says that public school can assist in the gender transition of your child without your consent.
Gender transition program, 6 pages, deciding which bathrooms to use, which pronouns to use when they would go on school field trips, whether to room with boys or girls, and the parents had no idea.
It's a new and dangerous way of thinking to think that the child should be taken from the safety and the protection of the parent and raised by the state instead.
And with Congress right now working to pass a social welfare bill to fund universal pre-K, some are concerned these big government bucks will just ram these policies through government-run pre-K centers.
Child care costs are expensive, preschool's expensive, some extra support sounds great, but parents should be warned. If the federal government becomes the primary funder of child care and preschool, it will be in control of what happens in child care and preschool.
Some conservative members of Congress say the government should be looking not at more funding, but less.
I'm all about cutting the funding. For God's sakes, the only thing that I've learned in my short 10 months up here in D.C. is follow the money, and if you pull the strings and you stop that appropriation, that gets their attention. And that's the way I look at things.
So I think in Congress, focusing on removing a lot of these wealthy influences into the school district, a lot of money that often goes, for example, Merrick Garland's son-in-law. A lot of that money goes to his publishing company that's selling critical race theory to these schools.
Representative Tinney echoed the message of these other parents. The current government and school systems are driving a wedge between parents and their kids.
This thing that I did, apparently it has struck a blow against the communists, because that's who the real enemy is. That's who we are fighting against. Never forget who we are fighting against. This effort of indoctrination and sexualization of your children and the grooming of your kids, it is being done by the communists. And don't let this moment stop here. Keep going, keep fighting, because God is on our side.
Continuing the push to restore parental rights and to protect the sacred parent-child bond. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
And in the early hours of the morning, a school board in Northern Virginia reversed its decision to remove sexually explicit books from school libraries. This after hours of heated public discussion Monday night. According to local media, dozens of parents, students, and librarians spoke against removing the books, some calling it unconstitutional. The Spotsylvania County School Board decided last week to remove all sexually explicit books after parent complaints. However, the decision was purportedly made without defining what counted as sexually explicit content. According to a board member, the school board attorney said their decision to remove the books was unconstitutional. Speakers on Monday night expressed outrage over comments made by 2 school board members. They had remarked last week that some sexually explicit books should be burned. These 2 members voted against rescinding the book ban. And the issue of sexually explicit books in public schools is a nationwide phenomenon. Parents across the country are finding such books and demanding their removal and even legal action. NTD's Grace Coulter speaks with a parent and a child advocate on the issue.
No porn in our schools.
Parents nationwide are discovering sexually explicit content in their children's school libraries. Some of it, they say, even amounts to pornography. Outraged and horrified, they're taking action.
A child is a child. And if you see this acceptable, you belong on a national registry and not a school board.
Parents in Fort Mill, South Carolina, recently sent examples of pornographic materials found in schools to Governor Henry McMaster. Among them, the book Genderqueer, a Memoir. This book contains illustrations of sex acts, including between an adult male and a minor. The governor found it so explicit, he requested an investigation last Wednesday. This is to find out how the book was allowed into schools and whether any state laws have been broken. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is also taking action, and numerous school districts across the country are removing and reviewing such books. Mother of 6 Stacey Langton found Genderqueer and a book called Lawn Boy in her Fairfax County School District. Lawn Boy describes sex acts between a 4th grade boy and another male minor. She brought the books to the attention of her school board.
The reason why I spoke out is because I am a Christian and I have a duty before God. I cannot look at something that is objectively evil and stay silent. So I felt that if I didn't know, I would imagine most parents don't know.
After Langton spoke out, the books were removed for review. A number of LGBTQ activists have defended the books and called parents trying to remove them homophobic and transphobic. The author of Genderqueer wrote in the Washington Post that the book is important for queer youth. But Langton, like many parents, says this is besides the point.
I didn't care about the gender of the people depicted in the acts. I didn't care about the sexual orientation of the people depicted in the acts. It is about the fact that the acts depicted are pornography and pedophilia, and that is wrong objectively, and that has to stop.
Child advocate Jaco Boyens, who helps to rescue and rehabilitate victims of sex trafficking, says these types of books, along with the content of some sex ed curricula, make children more vulnerable to sexual exploitation.
So what do you think the pedophiles in our nation are saying today? And we were part of Operation, just 18 pedophiles arrested over the week of Halloween in one county, okay, in one county. What do you think the pedophiles are saying? They're saying, thank you. Thank you for grooming the kid in the classroom. Thank you for introducing anal sex to the 10-year-old in the classroom, that now when I approach him with this topic on Instagram, on TikTok, the child doesn't have a radar that's up. The flag is not raised. This is normal. Oh, we talk about this in the classroom. Here's just another adult that wants to have a conversation with me. And so it goes. So it is destructive at a level we can't measure.
Some parents are calling for legal action to be taken against their school boards for allowing such books, since they say obscenity laws have been violated. But Boyan says there's a loophole in obscenity law. He points out that a 1973 California court decision can allow for such books to be in public schools. All school districts have to do is claim that the material has serious literary value.
Unless we call out the mechanisms they use and how they operate, you can't stop it. You're always late. You're always behind. We got to get ahead of it. The obscenity exemption statute has to be revised. We have to close the loopholes. We have to demand, every parent demand that the school show you the curriculum, the full curriculum. They have to, on the premises, show the full curriculum. But parents have not for decades even asked, what's my child being taught at school?
But that's all changed over the last several months. Parents nationwide aren't only asking, they're demanding answers and change. Grace Coulter, NTD News.
The latest figures on immigrants